2 days
so
ago.
more days. Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Phuket podcast for 2026. I am Sky, this is Tony, and we are going to be talking today about the fog before the breakthrough. Hey Tony.
Hello. Yay. Welcome. Thank you. Thanks, Sky.
Oh, hang on, I can hear myself twice. Sorry, I got rid of that. I was in the background playing through YouTube. Yeah, this is a great topic. This is kind of like that. We all who get to RAW have to go through this at some stage. So it's a great topic to talk on.
And we're definitely unpacking some things, even what I'm going through right now, maybe in the hopes that someone can resonate, because we think sometimes, this feeling your best or your health is doing well, but you're now really digging deeper in your emotions, because like I always share about, we're not suppressing anymore with food, with other addictions. We're really getting deep on our emotions of our unease, restlessness, because that's how I'm feeling now. Restlessness, there's a little sadness, and I'm in a between phase, and that's why, hey Kerry, is an in-between phase for some. And I know many of us go through these phases. That's why I thought this topic would be really good to open up, and not just on the raw vegan journey, but we'll start there, but we're gonna go even deeper. But yeah, share yours, Sky, because I know before the fog for you was not as clear, and then obviously that's the fog, and then we've had multiple breakthroughs.
Yeah, you never know when a breakthrough is coming, but I was saying to you before we got on is how often I hear there's people who are like, how do you stay raw? How do you do raw? I've done it and then I go back. I did it, I fixed a bit of this and then I went back. And I'm like, we're talking about this, the first step where I stepped across the line. And I think this is why many people do it, is the life you're currently living has no light left. Like you can't possibly stay there. You really got no choice. And that's the point I definitely came to. Of course, I was definitely in the fog for a while because your life is you. And to sever yourself off and step into a completely new reality, which for me, raw felt like, the life you're living cannot be serving you anymore. And no matter the battle you go through where you do a bit of raw and come back, you keep coming back and you're in the same fog. Nothing has changed. It's not even like you've become lighter. You become more enlightened. So when you go back, you feel even worse. You're like, I was feeling so good. And then there's the realization as to what I'm going to have to do to change. Like that was another thing. Like, what are you willing to do to not go back into that fog and suffer? And when I made that decision, it's why I focus so much on lifestyle as opposed to curing disease, because I was sick of sitting in disease. I'd sat in disease and I felt so good doing this. I knew the challenge would be life, like what comes at you at all times. And so I worked really hard at, what do I do when I go out? What do I do when you just at the start have constant cravings? Like I spent a lot of time there. And then there is the acceptance, but what is very true on this is, and you mentioned it before we came on, is you are going to be navigating this life with intuition. And I do it all the time. Life will throw things at you, and when you come on this journey, it's nobody else's responsibility. It's not in a book, it's not here, it's not there. It's what you've learned and feel called to. And so that I'm always going through. And it's what I encourage other people to go through as well, is to use that intuition most. But yeah, I would have to say the biggest thing was I still remember standing outside and being very aware that raw food equaled no symptoms, or very little compared to what I would suffer. And it was the only person who could answer that question was myself. What am I willing to do? And from there, I haven't looked back. I've gone round, about, upside down, learnt lots, but I never went back again. So that was my start.
Yeah, I can totally resonate with that. The back and forth. Because for years I did try. I was not aiming to go fully raw. It was more, I'll just do it like half and half, put more raw. That was my journey. First started with, because I didn't have major issues. It was more emotional turbulence and hormonal. Times of the month was very extreme. I had severe cramping, menstrual cycle was heavy and headaches. And I was just tired of this real deep emotional effect on me and just how I navigated life emotionally. And I was just using food as a crutch. So I used when I went vegan, as long as it was vegan, I did it for the ethical, and I was looking into the health side, but I did struggle to go raw, and it's still in my cravings, comfort foods. And it wasn't until I did the juice cleanse in 2020 when I broke up with my ex. My breakthrough seems to go through a real big change. And like many, I think, sometimes it's initiated by a loss, a deep change. And I'd gone through a breakup. And I just couldn't eat, and I was very scared, and it was my decision, but it didn't make it easier. Felt very alone, and it's a pattern of mine of this abandonment, of loneliness, and I always knew that how can I heal this? I don't know how to heal it, but through the 40-day juice cleanse, I thought this is an opportunity to start looking at my patterns, my destructive behavior, on how I can move through these without the pain, the real suffering, because the emotional, it might not have necessarily been physical. I didn't suffer so bad. I mean, I did used to have IBS, and sometimes certain foods would, but when I went vegan, it kind of that went away. But it was my menstrual cycle that was always a tricky stage, but emotionally for me. So for me, it was more of a spiritual cleanse, emotional cleanse, and I did that, and it just opened up a new world of fully raw. I was like, okay, there's no going back now. Fully raw for me. And then it was it's not been linear. I had some things that were times of the month, but I knew when I was eating heavier, denser cooked foods during the time of the month, all my symptoms were coming back. So I couldn't get that at first until I started to do a lot of meditation. When I got into a meditation practice and the more raw foods I was eating, I was becoming more in tune with my body, and I was finally listening. What do I need? And now, even going into this transition of more fats, omega-3s, I did drop fats for years. We shared on other calls that I went pretty much fruit, and that has a place in your journey. I felt I was called to that, and after the juice cleanse, it was fruit pretty much. And now I'm going similar to you, putting more fats in now, omega-3s, and knowing that I can mix omega-3s with carbohydrates. For me, so when you add in the omega-6s, that's when it can come a little complicated. Your insulin rises. And I've noticed omega-3s really help. Like my skin now, I've noticed just increasing my omega-3s. I'm more grounded. Like I do feel like this period of time, because I'm now coming into 41, hormones are slightly changing. I've noticed there's now a new shift coming in. So I'm listening to my body. And I do feel everyone can make this work. Raw living foods, you can make this work somehow. If it's high raw initially, but fully raw and vegan, you can do this. There's many ways we can do this lifestyle. And now I'm adapting more to, more fats. Maybe around 20% of my fats are coming from omega-3s. And I do, and that's usually, I can't get hemp seeds here, which I might ask you to bring over, Sky, when you come.
Sure, I was just thinking I had some just before. I love them.
Oh yeah, bring a load for me. And so yeah, I'm experimenting, and I do feel good so far. So the fog can always be a very daunting, even a dark place. Like for me, I'm going through another transition. It's a very strange place I'm going through right now, and I'm questioning everything, as in not the lifestyle, but more of my patterns. So this is what it brings. It brings deeper. Like I'm going on a call with Kiko today, and I'm going to really delve deeper into this. If anyone's interested, it's like 3 p.m. Thailand time. I'm going to go into really looking at the stages of awakening and how your lifestyle, and especially eating raw foods, can really amplify your awakening. So actually you can shorten the gap. I'm not here to rush, but you can shorten the gap because you're not suppressing, you're not distracting. And now I'm really going into this new phase of, because I'm not using food like how I used to use food. When things got difficult or painful and uncomfortable, I used food. That was my drug. It was a heavy junk food. It was takeaways. But then when I went vegan, it was all the junk vegan foods, chocolate. I was big on chocolate because now I have a lot of fruit still in my diet. That I don't even have cravings for chocolate. I mean, I have cacao, but cacao or carob doesn't give me that frenzy, you know, that vicious. Because I used to go into these, like, I call them like little, well, not little, they were huge, like chocolate frenzies where I couldn't feel satisfied. I was never fulfilled. And now I've fulfilled the nourishment side. I'm now fulfilling the emotional, the spiritual connection. It's just getting deeper and deeper. And now I'm going into this new transition, which we're going to talk about the 3 stages of this fog before the breakthrough. And it's how I've integrated it as well, because sometimes no matter what we're doing, sometimes our guidance is telling us there's something out of alignment, and there's some patterns I'm still doing, or that I've reset, might even potentially resurface, not towards like the binge eating, but just emotional patterns, you know, the abandonment, some certain beliefs that I've still got, the stories. That's why I'm going into deeper now with the stories I'm telling myself. So this is where I would really delve deep into an opportunity, if you ever get on a cleanse, to really listen and tune in of all the distractions we're doing, the noise, you know, the entertainment industry and all of that. How can we come back to yourself, back to you? And that's where the breakthroughs are. And we're going to give you some step-by-step stages of how the process works, and how it's been every time I go through a new breakthrough, I see these the steps, and that's what I know we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, when I think, you were just saying, like, it can be really dark when you're in the fog, and I just think of how absolutely horrid it was before I made the transition, but how grateful I am, because it really solidified that I can't go back. And I think that was such a great mindset for me to have as I moved through, because I do know a lot of people are so traumatized by what they've been through. They stay in a cycle of ups and downs, because ups and downs may give us a down, but any up is the biggest distraction a human knows. Like, we're always searching for the ups, so we default back into this. But it was really, like, if I was to say the biggest decision was to come when I was coming out of the fog, was it's up to you, Sky. Like, it is, don't blame anybody else. The answer's right in your lap right now. Now, what are you going to do? And that was the next step I had to face. And about when I faced that is, I never faced the full picture. I'm going to do this for life. I would say that, but I was always day to day. How do I get through this day? Because I had no awareness what raw food was. Yes, I'd been vegan for a year and a half, 2 years, but I had no idea. And I knew that I was going to be tackling addiction just at a time, because I was coming off so many addictions. So it's a real, it'd be interesting to talk to more people. We can do this at the retreat, about what their defining moment was, if they are raw. Like, what was that crack where it was like, I can't go back? Or did somebody just start doing it and didn't even realize? Like, as in, like, this is so good, that I've learned something about myself. But that, I very remember exactly where I was standing when I'm like, the answer's in your lap. Now it's up to you, Sky.
Transitions are never easy. I think we all go through a shedding. Last year, gosh, yeah, because I didn't have that extra layer of comfort eating, binge eating, not for a long time. It's like, oh, more layers are shedding. And there was a snake year last year. You know, we shed it a lot, and I felt it. I totally I felt there was a lot, and I know many people are experiencing the same, and still going through this bit now. You know, this first part of the year. where we're still letting go of the food, the addictions that are no longer serving us. And honestly, if you get these light codes in your body, if you fill up more on the
That
nutrition, more on the whole foods, the raw foods, you're going to have a much smoother, maybe not at first, because you've got obviously heavy addictions for some people, and it can be, but just trust and listen to those that have done it, like ourselves, that when you move through that, it's like a different level of, it's like you just gain more resilience through it. Like everything else is, because what I feel like I'm going through now, I may have crumbled a lot more like in the past if I was still that frequency I was living at. And for most people, I think for those that are watching these calls or the ones that are really stepping into their truth, that old identity, that frequency is no longer here anymore. It's just not serving those dense foods, those toxic foods. We're repelling them, and we know it. And if you still got resistance, it's going to be a lot harder for you when you accept and let go that these foods are actually going to help you and clear the path for you internally and externally. You're going to have a smoother ride. Trust me on it. Trust. I've done so many diets in the past and life, tweaking things. I've been always analyzing my mood, my emotions, and just all the holistic part of
mm,
ourselves. I've been working on this for so long, and when you're having these signs, these connections, that really listen to it and delve into it. Start letting go of the heaviness of these addictions and people and places. This is an opportunity this year, because otherwise, if you don't, I see it because it's the horse year. We're going into, things are going to move fast. It's going to be amplified. We're either going to be struggling and more of an amplification, or if you surrender to knowing the truth of what these foods and yourself, your alignment, you're going to have a way more enlightening and magical period of time. I feel it. I get goosebumps when I talk about it. All these past hurts and traumas are going to come up, but they're going to be seen and heard for the first time. And we're able to surrender them much more gentle and loving and kinder.
I love all of that. I was actually just thinking about how a lot of people on this raw journey say it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not always easy, but it's the light energy you sit in while you go through it. And can I say, anything that has come up for me, I have found a way through with the whole foods. I haven't had to go back. As in, like, God provides, the universe provides, because I think there's a lot of fear that someone has this symptom or that symptom. Just generally, and I said it in my last video, even when you get raw wrong, you're still getting it right. When you sit in light energy, you see things that I could not possibly see with like drips and surgeries, and it was all in distractions. And just the different ways, like I've done all grapes, I've done all juice, I did more veggies, I did like fruitarian for a couple of years, I did the omega-3s with a ton of greens. And I feel like I'm back with some greens, omegas, and fruit right now.
Yes.
But what is even, and you get very confident every time you overcome or break through in this lifestyle. Like the confidence I have in this, and I think if you take the mindset you used in the lifestyle you came from into this, you'll be chasing your tail for a while, where you think the answer is in a book for you. There's plenty of knowledge out there, but what's resonating with you at a different time will always change. That's where we used to be, in that density where we'd sit there chasing our tail. This expert, now they're telling you to try these. That does not work. It's on you. But every time you learn a mistake or you learn something good, it just gives me so much confidence in myself. Like that, I think you just brought that up. I actually have to say that that's the most rewarding thing 5 years in, is just how well I know myself, and I know God's universe even better now, which is a reflection, right? Like I get to know that because I'm knowing myself. He's opened up his garden even bigger for for me. So
you've said it numerous times of bringing the light in, and Laurie Ladd talks about this a lot as well on her channel. Laurie Ladd's amazing. Just bringing in the light, even energetically, but the food's going to really amplify. I mean, even I'm into fasting. I really believe in fasting. I love to fast. I choose. I do it all when I feel called. Everyone says, "Oh, don't do this, don't do that," and I'm like, it all has a purpose in your life. And for me, when I eat these lighter foods and bringing in, sometimes there's, like, say, periods of my cycle where I bring in more denser foods, like the fats. I do bring in, like, I've been recently, I'm in my menstrual cycle right now. I've had a lot more cashew nuts, and that's really grounding for me right now. I've been blending them with making a sauce. Oh, it's so nourishing. And I'm like, I'm not frightened. Like before, I used to think, oh, I'm too high fat. And I'm like, I just don't, I have no fear in it. One thing I'm really grateful for, when you really connect to here, and that has taken some time, you can honestly start to listen where you feel called to gravitate. That is so, it's nourishing and nurturing. I'm not like people say, oh, cashew nuts, that's so bad, that's so heavy. You're gonna, if you're in a cleanse, maybe there's like I said, there's periods of time when you're in different cleanses. But for me, I'm here for longevity, for sustainability. And if I'm not going to other crap foods, what I used to do, like I'm like higher fat in my meal, I am a little bit more conscious of what I'm mixing. I tend not to mix too many fruits with the high fat. That does give me some digestive issues. But sometimes I'm fine. I really listen. I'm not eating now out of just doing it. I'm very conscious. It's very intentional. I would say everything. What I'm doing with most of my time is being more intentional in everything I'm doing. And yeah, like you said, with that comes with emotions, feelings that you may have suppressed and never felt or knew it were there. If you've not got clarity and you're still in the fog for such a long time, don't worry, it's divine timing. But there are things we can do to support us, that will help us get to the root. And that is through many tools that we share in this lifestyle, through the raw living foods, through fasting, through meditation. For you, Scott, and for me, the ocean, going out in nature, being in it. I saw a beautiful post the other day, thought of you, Sky. I actually saved it. I must send you it because I'm thinking of doing a reel on it. And someone was just like touching the ground, hugging a tree, and they were like, this is, I can't remember, this is what cures my anxieties. And it was just so special, the whole video. And I was like, oh my God, I have to recreate something similar. It was really, and I just thought of you. I was like, you need to do some more nature videos of, like, wow, this is like, and light it up. And they did something real magical. It was really fun.
I love that. I actually saw people talking about I saw a neurologist on my story right now talking about how the ocean is basically a Faraday cage. Now, I don't technically, if a Faraday cage should block out electrical storms as well, which an ocean doesn't. Not that water conducts electricity, but the ions in the water, all the minerals, they conduct electricity. So he shouldn't have said that. But the principle is, when you get in the water, you are completely grounded and the electromagnetic fields can't touch your brain. Now, the one thing, if you don't know what a Faraday cage is, it's usually a metal cage or a metal bag which protects from electricity being able to enter and electromagnetic fields. The one thing people say when they're in there is they feel like they have control of their mind. And I feel like when I hear, because I'm always like, I just was out in nature all day. That's where I sat, and I was in the water. As soon as I get in the water, feet in the water. And I believe I'd lost, when you have got that inflamed, that much probably toxins in your body, you're literally lost yourself. Well, I'm in psychiatric units, and I feel like that really got me able to get back down. And I remember one of the first interviews I did with Chris Kendall, I bring this up so much, is when everything is dark and you can't see light and you're so down that you can't talk yourself out of the problem. He's like, you put the packets of light in. He goes, stuff's got to change. He goes, if you keep putting light packages in, you have to become what you are, and it's just so dense. So I think if everything is going wrong, packets of light are a good start, but yeah, nature and like hugging trees and getting your brain back.
And I don't have a TV either, so I'm not watching any TV. With the odd little occasion if I could pop to a friend's. And also I did many like 30-day. I did a recent video not so long ago of like literally no music. It was just high frequency music. So I did that for 30 days and just doing these things to see how much, and dopamine fast. I did that over Christmas just to see
Right.
how we are infected with these. So sometimes we can do many things to help us come through. I do believe in, like I said, about divine timing. I think there is a process. You can't rush things. But if you feel called to try stuff that will help you move through it, support you through it, these are the things that are going to support us. And yeah, hands down from our experience, and how, because it is from our own experience. There's so much conflicting information out there, and I get it, the confusion. It's all intentional as well. Go back to basics. Go back to, that's all we do, don't we? So that's why I love Sky, and I love those that just don't want to sell you so many different products and things. Simplicity. Come back to simplicity. Strip away. And this year is all about that. Stripping. We did the shedding of the snake last year. Stripping away. Now stepping into our power because we've done the stripping. We've got, like, I do feel like this is a next level. I don't know what it's going to look like yet. That's why I'm in the in-between. That's why I was sharing with you, because there's been a lot of falling away in my personal life. And that was happening last year, but it's starting to do the last remains this year. And I'm like, certain people, things, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, can you strip away more? Like, possibly, like, it's a little scary if I didn't, like I said, if I didn't eat this way and live this lifestyle and do the things I'm doing and actually listening to my body. I'm doing the heart coherence work. I'm really taking that time, and it's not easy. It's painful. I'm sat in it. I was like yesterday, I was just walking to the beach, and just the walking to the beach and doing my grounding and being in the ocean, I just cried. I was crying a lot of this pain, this small self that was coming up, and then today I feel lighter. I mean, I had a busy day yesterday in the evening. I was just stripping some things, and just know that these are, if you really sit with the feelings, the healing's going to be so incredible for our growth, our expansion, because that's what we're here for. I'm here, and Carl Cease, I got this from Carl Cease. He's like, I'm not here to accumulate. I'm here to merge with my soul, merge with the truth of who we are, who I really am. When I got to that depth, I got to contribution, and that's why you see the work we do and the work with the animals. This is what is fulfilling, and all the other stuff that's stripping away that has been heavy in your life will come to surface. And if you are present with it and not distracting with heavy foods, dense junk food, and other things, then you are going to move through this with support. And so I really want to encourage us to meditate and bring this awareness to the body and how you feel and how things are. If you've got resistance, where are you not letting it go? Where are you, it's like, I think Aaron Doughty, maybe even Kelsey says this about, we're constantly bringing I can't remember what he says, maybe the ball or something, pulling it in the water. And what happens when you let go of this ball, because it wants to come up, the ball wants to come up, and you keep pressuring it, bringing it. And that's where the anxiety and the frustration, but if you just let it go, we have no holding on to people, to food. We have my thing is people. I have such a love for people and connection and depth, but I hold on for too long. And I'm seeing it as a good thing, because I can get to those depths, but it's not letting me let go, surrender. This is it's happening now. So if I can bring in more peace and relax and not have the pressure, if you've got pressure there, life's going to be harder. And eating healthy is going to be harder. when we surrender, we're going to naturally choose the food that our body is designed to eat, what nature has given us.
Mm.
I'm going on.
No, I love all that. You actually reminded me of when you like, you said, "Oh, I love that Sky's not always trying to sell something." And in fact, when I first started posting, the reason I did is because everything I did to heal is free. Like it's essentially, though not growing my own food, if I grew it, it'd just be there, right? But it's not like all these my mindset and so much money was spent trying to get me well, and all it did is break me. You strip that away. It was force stripped away. Like I'm basically being homeless. I'm living in this like little place by myself. There's no carers. It's just vegetables in a bag that are being delivered and I can't cook them. Yeah, and then I'm going outside to nature and I healed myself. And I was like, holy crap, that's so many layers that were like ripped off me for me to see the truth. That how can I not share that? Like, how can I not be like, and because people are like, oh, I live here, I live there. Go to the local park. That's all I did. I didn't have anything. Like, you just, whatever, when you are forced into and you realize so clearly that this is going to work, you're like, well, where is it? Give it to me. And it's there for all. It's still there for all.
It is. It's just a decision, and the surrendering. I think if we can step more into that, then I do feel the breakthroughs are going to happen more, and they're going to be a lot lighter for us.
Yes. Now, did you want to go through each of the three stages, or do you want me to go through it?
Yeah. Well, we can. Yeah. The first one is disintegration. It's a quite a. So this is a process that we're all meaning humans. We want to know things. We want processes and steps, and I do feel they help. Just like a cleanse, the 40-day juice cleanse helped me move into the raw lifestyle. Really did solidify. I am not going back to heavy cooked foods. So yeah, disintegration is where the old self starts to fall away, and this is where this is that uncomfortable identity. You don't know who you are, especially if you're going, like from sometimes people do a slower transition, but even then some literally go from non-vegan to raw vegan. I didn't do that. I was vegan for 15 years, no, 15 years in total, so maybe around, my maths ain't that great, 7 years before I went raw. Yeah, 7 or 8, maybe even 9. Yeah, so there's this identity crisis that we can go through, and it's like a breakup. You're breaking up with all of these habits, the foods that we know are holding us back. You're gonna go through. It's harder for some, and much harder for other. Everyone has a different experience, but I think for many that first through to get through, there's always some level of disintegration. We have to break away. It's that shedding.
I think it's when it becomes to disintegration is it's going to feel chaotic because you don't know what to do. The whole process of this is what you're doing does not work. You can see the direction you need to go, but you're overwhelmed by your past, you're overwhelmed by your future, and that's how phase 2 starts, where you're in the fog because you don't know what to do. But if you can take any solace in the fact that if you say you're going to be raw and that's what you want to do, is all of us started in the same situation, different circumstances, but we all started where things just fell away because it wasn't working anymore. And I guess you want to know steps to get through this. And that is, I suggest not looking so much at someone's exact path to fix your path, but to look that they've overcome things. That's the inspiring part, right? Is that people are high raw or raw and they've done these things and they've come out the other side or through, or they've found their way. And that can help because you're going to be looking for, like, when something gets rocky, you're looking something to grab onto, to ground you, to make you feel like it's okay. And I think what happens a lot of the time is to ground oneself is a lot of people go back to old patterns in their old life. And it's just so painful, whether spiritually or physically or emotionally. And then you're like, still, it's like being pushed forward by pain. It's so painful to do that. You know, you can't be there, but to look for little nuggets of light to help you move and know that it's possible to move forward.
Yeah, definitely that first part. It's just I've written down like identity no longer matches your soul. So
True.
we know there's the truth there, but it's not easy. Like I say, it's a new frequency that you're falling into. And that's where the second one is the fog, the void between and who you were and who you're becoming. I call it's the womb space. Some might call it like the cocoon phase, that womb space where you're going within. You know, if you're really doing the work, you're like, okay, I'm kind of like, what am I doing? I don't know, but I don't kind of know where to go. So you're going within. And this is a really healthy process. I feel it's a really good reflection time. I do it all the time. I'm always in this space, but it's necessary.
And what about moving into the fog?
What do you mean? So we're in this space now. Void. It's the void. It's the void in between. So
Do you
that's
mean like,
so the first one's disintegration, the second one's the
and
fog, and then
yes.
reorientation. Are you still on the second? You want to talk about the fog?
Oh no, I didn't realize. I thought we were still on the first. I kind of think
Oh, sorry,
I
no, I
kind of
went into
feel
the second.
I kind of feel that like with the first and the second is the reason you're not in the first anymore is because it's disintegrated, and then you've been pushed into the fog, which is unsteady. So I guess that's
You can be
handy.
pushed as well, can't you? I feel like sometimes you
100%.
you feel like you're not ready, but the universe is saying, oh, "This is." You feel like you're not ready, but the universe, God, will always move you at that time, the right time. But man, it's not. Yeah, like you just feel, not yet, but it's happening.
So I feel like some people are very conscious of things they want to strip back. And I feel like in my situation is my higher self or the universe or God, I call it my higher self, stripped back so forcefully that a lot of my work was done before I was even entered what you'd call a healing journey because I'd lost everything, right? You'd strip me back. Even my ability to concentrate on and talk to people was gone. Like nothing was there. It was really either succumb to the dark or you have to take one mother load of a jump into the light. And I think that's what's different about my journey is there was nothing possible to hang on to. It was succumb to the dark, or you are going to have to grab onto these light packets, nature and the light food. Um, and I think that part, maybe my disintegration fog was even before the raw food, to be honest. Like how much my higher self was like, you are going this way or you have to exit. Like, there's no going back. You just
Yeah.
going to take more. And when you think no more can be taken, more can be taken. And that's probably what a lot of people go through on this. But I think because I have lost everything. And I tend to, on the journey that I'm on now, is I don't push. So I tend not to, wherever I am, I'm quite happy to just sit and potter for a bit. I don't need to like dig into
Good.
it because I
Yeah.
think if I get too unsteady, I feel like what will crack open, I won't be able to look at. So I just keep my little boat just going along there.
But I also think we're in this space. We've been talking about this, my friend and I, about pressure. I think sometimes we can put that unnecessary pressure on, and it's all to timing. That's why the surrender comes in. It will happen if you get more in tune. Just do the steps, these steps that we're sharing and eating more abundantly of whole, raw, living foods. That's going to
Mm.
support and nourish you. You'll naturally gravitate to the right steps that need to come through. So I do feel there is no urgency, there's no pressure because it's all, if you really connect to yourself and truth, then I think it's just gonna, that's the space I want to be in. Not all the time. I do have resistance at times for many things in my life because that applies to everything, doesn't it, Sky? Everything that we
It
share is
does.
applying to definitely this new frequency. If you resonate, I know many of you are following us will resonate with what we're sharing. It's like it's not a forced energy. It's really is not, and it will come, and then it's more sustainable.
That's what you want. That's why I'm always careful how far you dig, because can you either come back from that, or will you topple? And my thing is I know me, and there's just So I come a little bit and then I'll come back or I'll learn. But yeah, that's a part of the learning, right? Is what you're capable of doing and clean. But it all becomes so much clearer on this journey. It's almost like you see it, like you can see, the calling is there to either dig, or the calling is there to you just sit and wait a bit. So it's beautiful.
So the third one is reorientation, new self. Your this I wouldn't call it a new self emerges as such. It's the person you already was. It's just been, it's a bit like the Michelangelo, the structure, the statue. You're just stripping away all those layers, that mud, the crap. That's what we're doing. We're uncovering the real truth of who you are, and this is you're just shedding all the lies, the addictions, the low self, I call it. That's all been stripped away and moved away, and then this is where your new, we call it the new self, but really it's the truth, what was already there.
The real you, that's the thing you always hear about people who go raw, is when you discover it, what people say is this is how they were always meant to feel. Like that, when you find it, you feel connected to yourself on a level that had been missing. And then that's why we seek out distractions. It was just so apparent that it's not like a high or a distraction, or it's it's getting closer to your higher self and who you were always destined to be. And that's my motivation. What greater motivation can there be than having you? That's all I think I've ever wanted. I think that's all most people want on this planet. And this is, to me, what you will feel. It doesn't make it easier. I still think being raw has always been easier for me than the life I used to live at all levels. But I guess people can push as far as they want. But I like my little boat just plodding along and being well. Like, what a great gift. Like, you think about that too when you change your life. Like, what are you gifting yourself by eating this food? And then you forget about the gift because the food becomes so good when you get rid of all of those cravings and needs that you think you need to have, all the wants. You basically get the gift you've always wanted, and that is like health and feeling youthful and
wealth. Health is wealth, and you feel
it
abundant.
is. You have no, trust me, you have nothing without health.
Yeah, and I do find you'll reignite. So like I shared, like with personal stuff going on, because I'm not using anything to distract, it's amplified, but I do feel there's a level of clarity and awareness now, and it's like knowing this is temporary, whatever the challenges you're going through, and you start to, because when you go through this identity crisis, you do lose all like what made you excited. And I must admit, like I said, I've stripped so much. I'm like, what used to give me satisfaction, excitement is not so much anymore. So I'm even stripping away now the real, like we said, like just going out in nature is so exciting and great. And that happens because when we have so much going on with all these dopamine excitement, it gets where just simple things do not excite people anymore. And like these nourishing foods are too bland or boring, or but that's because we've so far detached from what really is the magic in life of nature, of what nature holds. So I do find going through a traumatic experience, you're not going to take away the pain as such, but you are going to ease off, knowing when you bring in self-love, self-care, which brings in the foods, the meditation, nature, you will just start bringing more truth in, and that's what matters most. That's true fulfillment and happiness. And sometimes we can be sidetracked, like recently going through this difficult period. You do get into your old patterns, and that's what's happened. Is it's reignited some old patterns that I haven't yet healed, and that's what I'm working through now. But on these conversations, it gives me this awareness of that. Wow, this is just a process, And what I share with my clients and you guys, it is just temporary, and it's normal human experience when we feel darkness, and it's part of a human experience. These are difficult times when you're transitioning to anything that's going to give you expansion. There's always, what did my friend, she said, shared something, it's like when you give birth, it's never, being the child in the womb is never easy. It's like you don't know what's happening. You're in this dark space, and then all of a sudden you're pushed, and it's breaking through. And for the woman who is giving birth, it's like it's painful, and then all of a sudden this magical experience it is now a magical experience. So just know that sometimes we have to go through tense things at times, for us to, so just going through the shedding and knowing the truth, what's going to come out. Just trust the process. When you eat these foods and when you live a healthy, of course it's going to be lighter and more fulfilling and satisfying in a way that you never expected.
Yeah, I mean, all good things, the hardest is done in the dark so you can bloom in the light. Like trees, those little seedlings have to like push out a little sprout and has to push up through the dirt. And then it comes up to the tree. It still has to grow a trunk, but then eventually it gets flowers and fruit and all that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it blossoms. Exactly. I just think also when you do this lifestyle, you will feel, this is the thing, you will feel the directions you need to go. Will you always get it right? Maybe not. But you start to feel the way to go, as opposed to, this is the difference, see it on a commercial or be told this is what everyone's doing, you need to do it. Like you literally be like, it's so loud. It's like, oh, that's not for me. Or, oh, I'd like to try that. It doesn't mean the outcome is perfect. No, but you may have a lesson to learn. And when you accept that, and I spoke earlier in the week with Kiko on our podcast about how, I think I brought this up before, but how amazed I was because I'd never felt this before. I felt when I got myself well, and then I had viruses that came up in the first year a lot, or detox, whatever you want to call it. I was so amazed at my body heating up. I could feel the water fill in my nose. I could feel it in my ears. I've never felt that. The only thing I ever felt was a scraping throat that usually came up. It was so like painful, like I thought I was going to die. That was the start of a cold for me. I was so amazed. And when you feel all these things, you can make better decisions about your health or even appreciation. That my body is never to this day got to the point where it's like burning again. It will get unwell, but it's never for me got to that point. But yeah, so it's like, that's what I want to say is the ability you have to feel. Everything feels so different on RAW. Like, I know a lot of people want to hear about, I fixed this and fixed that, and this person fixed this, and fixed all of that. But it's that ability to actually feel myself, feel my life, feel the direction, which keeps me RAW every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you want me to answer the questions?
Yeah. Do
Or
you
the
want to answer that? Yeah.
So just this one down here about the raw broccoli. So when it comes to broccoli, I have found that broccolini works best for me. I have a real call, not right now, but I have, last year, broccolini, cauliflower, purple cat, all these cruciferous vegetables, Brussels sprout, mushrooms were like my go-to. I was eating much, much less because they're much denser. I can't eat a massive amount with the chia and flax. But broccoli, I don't usually get called to, but broccolini, I don't know. A lot of places don't have a different one, but for us, broccolini is like the skinny, thin a stalk, and it has like the little softer head. Whereas that's broccolini, and broccoli is like the chunky stalk with the real chunky head. That
Yeah.
I don't think I could, but the softer one, I'm fine with.
I tend not to eat really any of those cruciferous. I don't. I just don't feel called to eating them unless I blend them with certain things. But often I don't.
Can I be honest? What was really interesting, and I haven't had an extensive experience in the tropics. I don't know what it was like when you were raw in London, if it was much different. But I do know when I was in Bali, foods that I ate regularly did not even cross my mind. I often think that there's a
Yeah,
frequency that's much higher in Thailand, Bali,
yeah,
Hawaii to some extent, but Hawaii is still very commercialized, so you get pulled back, I think, down a lot more. But I do know when I was in Bali, my brain only thought of tropical fruit, and it had
yeah.
one or two salads, and it was kind of repulsed by it. And they were very light, but still, I was like, gimme, gimme, gimme. So, and I feel like my frequency was much higher. So I don't know whether that is something.
But you can lightly, boil where they're not still raw. You can lightly. But if I was gonna choose that, I would do it at that low temperature because it's still classed as raw. You're just not going over 18 degrees, so you can do that, and you can still get a nice, not so hard.
Yeah, so I have no calling to do that, but I had a calling, and I believe it's because I had a lot of deficiencies. Well, not a lot, but if my iron starts to get low, I get pica, where you crave crunch. Like crunch, it's all your brain can think of is crunch because it needs minerals, and crunchy things have minerals. So I feel like that was a huge thing for me. I like loved the crunch. My whole day is surrounded by the fact that I got to crunch into them. And I know you can still keep it crunchy, but you're right. If that's something that helps.
But it doesn't. It can still have that crunch, but because you don't do it for too long. Um,
Sure.
if you just want that little softer. Yeah, the crunch doesn't appeal to me. But yeah, phases of your life might change. But yeah, if anybody, let's go into the retreat because the retreat's coming up.
Yes.
Come and spend some time with us. We've still got this great discount on $500 discount for a few more days. We're actually extending it. So check it out. All that information's in the description box of the retreat on the 18th of April for 7 days with a raw vegan chef that's going to create many different to gourmet to different fruit platters. You're going to try all the different tropical fruits. It's going to be absolutely magical, immersive of this raw lifestyle, and pick our brains of how we have made this work for us. In I can definitely say it's easier in the tropics. And you want to go for cooling foods for most of the time. I agree with that, but we can make it work wherever we are. We do our best. But this is a great experience to see Thailand, see it in a different light. Someone who was pretty much a local, 9 years, just over 9 years being here now.
Amazing.
Come and share the experience with us.
That's amazing. Yes, the link is below. If you have any questions, message us, email us. We're excited.
If you've got any questions on the retreat, let us know. But there's all that information on the website, and so that discount is there. We've shared the discount link. Check it out. 7 full days immersion in Phuket, Thailand.
Yay. All right. Thanks, Tony. And we'll be back next week.
Thank you so much. See you soon.